science is changing rapidly. All the long-held beliefs that we've had. Gravity. I mean, light. Ordinary things that have a scientific explanation are changing because of the inventions that are going on that increase our perception. We perceive more now, get some truth, and everything is changing. And I said to Neil, everything is changing, including the speed of light. He said, no, Bill. The speed of light is secondary. That's the point. Scientists measure everything by the speed of light. I said, no, Neil, but everything we know changes. As we learn more, we learn that what we've learned doesn't apply. Everything we thought was isn't. And he says, no, well, that's true, but not about the speed of light. Which turns out that after that session, when I said, no, we're going to find out, the barbarian. I don't know what I'm talking about, but you can certainly cling to a non-truth. We're going to find that the speed of light, 186,000 miles per second, is going to change. And no, Bill, it's not going to change. So the session is over in this audience, about a theater this size, and, 300-400 people. Who's that? He says, I'm Dr. Husitz with the Planck Institute. And I got to tell you, the speed of light is going to change. So I got that on Neil deGrasse Tyson. But when I returned home from that journey, I was filled with the curiosity of why do humans explore? I mean, there are three major explorers in the South Pole. Scott and Shackleton and Amundsen. And the two Englishmen, Shackleton and Scott, didn't make it. Shackleton's sailing boat got locked up in the sea ice and was locked up for 2 years. And then it was crushed, and he had to get the safety boats, the little boats, and get them off the crushed ship and haul them 100 miles to the open sea to escape. Scott, who was a well-known explorer, had the English arrogance of the 19th century. And, I'm English, we have an empire, Australia and India, and so I'm going to go to the South Pole, and I'm going to bring horses, and I'm going to bring tractors, and I may bring a dog or two, and we've got English food, we got the crackers, and we got the salted meat, and we're going to go, and we're going to go. And he dies on his way back because he didn't know what Amundsen found out, who was a Norwegian, who went to live in the North Pole and saw the Inuit, the Eskimos, eating seal meat, high fat content, lots of calories, in order to deal with the freezing temperatures and the long walks, and dogs that pulled the sled, and there were no mechanical things there to go bad. So Scott goes there, his horses die, the tractors stop working, and he makes it to the South Pole, but he doesn't make it back because he dies essentially of starvation because he didn't allow enough calories for the amount of work he had to do. That arrogance. Amundsen found out the way to deal with that cold weather, and he went to the South Pole and died. Why did those guys? And then I began to study Magellan. Magellan decides he wants to raise funds to do a circumnavigation of the world to prove it's round. So he goes, he's a Portuguese, he goes to the Portuguese king, can I have funds? The Portuguese guy says no. So Magellan, who's Portuguese, goes to the Spanish king. They're mortal enemies. They're discovering the Portuguese and the Spaniards are at odds for so many years. The Spanish king gives Magellan enough money to furnish a ship and make it. And I won't go into the history of Magellan, but it's an extraordinary voyage of discovery. Why? The first thing I said to Neil deGrasse Tyson, why are we going to Mars? Well, we're going to Mars because it's a journey we're going to discover. I know, but you get to Mars and nothing. It's got 1/6 the gravity. The dust storms last month. There's no place to live. Why are we trying to find the cure for cancer instead of going to Mars? I understand the reason for going to Mars, but I have nothing else to say to Neil deGrasse. So I start writing this speech out about why does mankind put their lives at risk to explore? And the answer I came up with is because these people who take it upon themselves to go on journeys to places what was the line? No man has been before? For immortality. My belief is they do something that nobody else has done, and it goes into the history books. Magellan was the first person, and he didn't make it. He died on the way. But one of his sub-captains, out of 5 ships and 250 men, 1 ship and 15 men, make it back to England. But they circumnavigated the first person. So we know Magellan. And all these mountains and places and stars and things that have been named for the first person to get there. That's one reason. The other reason is curiosity. Mankind filled with curiosity. Why does this go? Why does that work? Well, I got a hold of Neil deGrasse Tyson, and I said, Neil, this is what I'm writing. He says, that would make a great stage show. So we got the guy who financed the journey on the ship, and he financed a theater in Seattle. And 3-4 weeks ago, Neil deGrasse Tyson and I were on stage debating this very question as to why we explore. And science fiction is the mental, is the creative, the inventive exploration of what's out there. What kind of, it's impossible that there isn't life in the universe. It's just mathematically impossible, whether life is carbon-based or whatever element is out there that life has taken a hold of. Life exists in 600-degree vents in the ocean. Life exists in 600 degrees. There is bacteria in the lakes of the South Pole that don't exist on Earth except there. They're frozen, and they last in rocks from, what do you call the rocks from outer space? The meteorites land on Earth. There's bacteria. There's cellular life going in the frozen steppes of space. There's life everywhere. There's life. Life seeks its existence on Earth in every crevice. There are trees growing on cliffs that are thousands of years old. Life is impelled to live and to expand. So it's impossible mathematically that all those billions and billions of galaxies that we can see, which taken, by the way, the furthest one we've gotten a hold of is 13.8 billion light years away. So it's taken 13.8 billion years for that particle of light to reach my retina. Where did it go? See, in that intervening time, where is it now? That's when it was. Where did it go? It's impossible that life doesn't exist all over the universe. And we just have to discover it. So the first person is going to discover. Imagine what that'll, and it's happening right now. We're seeing with the Webb telescope, we're seeing elements from planets, exoplanets, planets that have the same existence, reasons for existence as Earth. There are billions out there. So there's civilization all over the place. But they haven't got here yet. That's my opinion. The UFOs are not part of it. But mankind is set to explore. Now the exploration is going to outer space. The exploration is a cure for cancer. The exploration is ways of living that make it easier for us. It's all happening right now. This becomes the age of exploration. And I said that to Neil deGrasse Tyson on the air. And he was silent. For once. Thank you very much, everybody. It's been a pleasure being with you.